Father Agapito Echigoyon. He was the last Agustinian recollect casualty of the Philippines Revolution in Cavite. Likewise, slain with him were three Agustinian friars, Candenas, Pernaveja, and Rivero. He returned to the Philippines a few months later, claiming that his account was given to him by a fellow friar, Father Cipriano Navarro. The account of Echegoyen does not name the aligned impersonator of Burgos, but he is described as a Piernaveja's account, on the other hand, attributes the deeds to a Father Claudio del Arco, whom he does not identify further, but who was a Recolecto parish priest in Santa Cruz, Zambales.
Chris Antoinette Piedad Pugay graduated as the school valedictorian after garnering the highest GPA amount, the graduating student for the year 2011, a first for a foreign student at the Sugang University Graduate School of International Studies. She wrote this article and generously accepted by the National Historical Commission because she was able to present the two sides of what really happened during the Cavite Mutiny. She was also able to present evidence that would shed light to all the questions that every Filipino historian has been taking and tried to examine about.
Pedro Alejandro Paterno y de Vera Ignacio wrote Synopsis de la Historia de Filipinas. He was a politician in the Philippines who was well known for being a traitor. He was also a poet and novelist, and he was a Maximo Paterno son. He was deported to the Marianas in 1872 despite the fact that young Pedro was a student in Spain at that time. Pedro Paterno published many works, purposing to be historical during the Spanish era, but the vast majority of them dealt with pre-Hispanic Philippine history. He published this in 19th century to make a brief mention of the events of 1872 Cavite Mutiny while discussing the vault of the 19th century.
Father Antonio Pierre Navia, the document he wrote admits to and condemns a variety of crimes and abuses allegedly committed by the friars, beginning with the period preceding to Cavite Mutiny. The execution of the three priests is blamed on friar intrigues, according to all accounts. Dr. Trinidad Hermenegildo Pardo T. Tavera is a Filipino scholar and researcher who wrote the Filipino version of the Cavite bloodbath. He is a Filipino physician and historian, an outstanding Filipinologist who published notable scholarly works in the field of Oriental and Philippine studies, including language, anthropology, folklore, and so on.
The incident was a mere mutiny by the native Filipino soldiers and the laborers of the Cavite arsenal who turned out to be dissatisfied with the abolition of their privileges.
Tabira believed that the Spanish friars and Guardo used the Cavite Mutiny as a powerful lever to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines by magnifying it as a full-fledged conspiracy involving not only the native army but also residents of the Cavite and Manila, and most importantly, the native clergy, fearing that their influence of the Philippines would slowly decline. The friars exploited the incident and presented into the Spanish government as a vast of conspiracy organized across the archipelago with the goal of destroying Spanish sovereignty.
Sadly, Tavera confirmed that the Madrid government came to believe that the scheme was true without making any attempt to investigate the true facts or the scope of the alleged revolution reported by Izquierdo and the Friars. Echegoyen stated that he learned the truth from a fellow friar. He claimed that the heads of the friar orders meet to discuss how to get rid of Burgos and other native clergy leaders, and that they decided to implicate them in a seditious plot. A Franciscan friar disguised as a secular priest was sent to Cavite with a large sum of money to stir up mutiny, and he negotiated with Saldua to blame Burgos for the uprising. Following that, the heads of the friar orders used a large bribe una ferte suma di dinero to persuade the governor general that Burgos should be arrested, tried, and sentenced. According to Pernavilla, a certain Fray Claudio del Arcio, disguised as Father Burgos, went to Cavite to spread the idea of an uprising. When the mutiny was put down, the friars put pressure on the governor general through his secretary and a lady with a lot of cloth as well as a gift of 40,000 pesos. The revolt of 1872, in particular, the friars conjured up an insurrection in Cavite, when in reality it was nothing more than a military mutiny based on Paterno.
Evidences. The account of Paterno in the succeeding pages is a thinly veiled panegyric of himself and his accomplishments, in which he appears as the true inspiration of Rizal and the soul of late 19th century nationalist movement.
They used the Cavity Mutiny as a powerful lever by magnifying it as a full-blown conspiracy involving not only the native army but also included residents of Cavite and Manila, and more importantly the native clergy, to overthrow the Spanish government in the Philippines.
The central government in Madrid announced its intention to deprive the friars of all the powers of intervention in matters of civil government and the direction and management of educational institutions.
General Izquierdo introduced rigid and strict policies that made Filipinos move and turn away from Spanish government out of disgust. The execution of Gomburza was a part of blunder on the part of the Spanish government. For the actions revealed, the ill feelings of the Filipinos in the event inspired Filipino patriots to call for the reforms and eventually independence.